All right. So we are going to start off with multiplying. And we'll start off with the example of 1/2 times 3/4. So again, when you multiply, you do not need to have the same denominators. So we can leave the fractions exactly like they are, and we are going to multiply straight across. So that means we're going to do 1 times 3, and we're going to do 2 times 4. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. And then you have to ask yourself, can I simplify? Can I? No, I cannot simplify this, so that is my final answer. Now, this problem is about as easy as multiplying fractions gets, okay, because we didn't even have to simplify, and they were pretty small numbers, but I wanted to start off with an easy one just so that we can remember just how to multiply fractions, okay? They get more complicated when the numbers get bigger and you have to start simplifying. So let's do another one. 5/8 times 2/3. 5/8 times 2/3.
Everybody be writing that down.
So again, you should be multiplying straight across. So we're going to do 5 times 2, which is 10. And we're going to do 8 times 3, which is 24. Now I know that we have given out some multiplication charts. So if that's something that's helpful to you, you could use your multiplication chart. Or once again, you could use a calculator. Okay, you could do 5. I would hope no one needed to do 5 times 2. But maybe 8 times 3, you would want a calculator if you're not very good at multiplication facts. All right, 10/24. Now, one thing I noticed about 10 and 24, they're both even. What can I divide even numbers by? 2. So I'm going to do 10 divided by 2 and 24 divided by 2, which would give me 5/12. There we go. Now, is there another way that I could have done this problem? Okay, I'm going to see if anyone's ever shown you this other way. This other way, kind of, instead of multiplying and then simplifying, you do it in the opposite order. You simplify and then multiply. Then, has anyone ever taught you about cross-reducing? You heard that before? Cross-reducing?
Yes. Everybody should be saying yes.
Okay. Now, cross-reducing can save you so much time. Okay? And what again cross-reducing is simplifying the problem before you ever multiply. Because sometimes what happens when you just leave them exactly as they are and then you multiply, you end up with really big numbers, and it's kind of a pain to simplify that. Okay? So cross-reducing is a nice trick to use to make the process easier and faster. Now, I don't care which way you do it, if you do it the original way or if you like it this way. But I really like it this way, and this is the way I'm going to teach it. So let me show you what to do. So before I ever multiply, I am going to look diagonally. So I am going to look at the 5 and the 3, and I'm going to ask myself, can 5 and 3 both be divided by anything? No. So I can't do anything with that. Then I'm going to look at the 8 and the 2. Can 8 and 2 both be divided by anything? Yes, what?
2.
A 2. All right, so I'm going to do 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So this 8 is becoming a 4. And I'm going to do 2 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, so again, it's kind of like simplifying your 2 and your 8. Now I can multiply. So when I multiply straight across, I'm going to do 5 times 1, which is 5. And I'm going to do 4 times 3, which is 12. And there is that same answer. So either way gives us the correct answer. You can either multiply and then simplify, or you can simplify first and then multiply. Again, I'm going to do it this way because as a 7th grader, you're gonna start working with bigger numbers, and I think that it just makes sense to do it this way. Miss Demeter, you said that you all, when you did it in 6th grade, you all did cross-reducing?
Yep, we told them how to.
Okay.
We didn't require it, but
Right.
we did go over it.
So again, definitely not a requirement. That's important to know. All right, let's do another one then. Let's say we have 1/6 times 3/5. So before I start multiplying, is there anything that I can simplify? Any cross-reducing that I can do? What do you see? The 3 and the 6. 3 and 6 can both be divided by what? 3. I can do 6 divided by 3. I can do 3 divided by 3. All right, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. All right, now, can I do anything with the 1 and 5?
No.
No. All right, so now we just get to multiply straight across. So 1 times 1 and 2 times 5. 10. So 1, 10. If we wouldn't have done our cross-reducing, we would have ended up with 3/30, which is 1/10, okay? And it's fine to do it that way. And again, I'm not requiring that you cross-reduce either, but I'm telling you, it's gonna speed it up. All right, let's talk about what you would do if you had a fraction times a whole number. Let's say we had 1/4 times 12. Does anyone remember what to do here, Ari?
Put it over 1.
Put what over 1? Good. So anytime you have a whole number, you rewrite the whole number as a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay, always. So now before I start multiplying, I'm going to look to see, can I cross reduce? Can the 4 and the 12 be divided by anything?
Yes.
What can they divide by? 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So let's multiply straight across. 1 times 3, 1 times 1. So we end up with 3/1, and we want to simplify. 3/1 would equal 3. And you're finished. If we wouldn't have done cross-reducing, we would have had 12/4, which is 3. All right, how about you try one of those? Why don't you do 2/3 times 18. So again, you're trying that one. All right, so hopefully you put 18/1, and then before you started multiplying, you looked to see, could you simplify, cross-reduce? The 3 and 18 can both be divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 18 divided by 3 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12, 1 times 1 is 1, and 12/1 equals 12. Now, if you chose not to cross-reduce, that's fine. You had to do 2 times 18, which is 36, 3 times 1, which is 3. This is also 12. So you can get to that same answer even if you do not cross-reduce. Would I work out this problem the same way if it would have been 18 times 2/3? Would I work it out the same way if this was 18 times 2/3 if I just reverse the order?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you remember, that property is called the commutative property. And the commutative property says that you can change the order when you're adding or multiplying. So we could do 18 times 2/3, no big deal. All right, now let's talk about doing a mixed number times a mixed number. So let's do 1 3/10 times 6 2/3. So we're gonna do some practice with these. These will be the last of the ones that we do for multiplication. Then we will take a restroom break, and when we come back from restroom break, we'll do dividing with fractions, okay? All right, if you have a mixed number, you have to first change it into an improper fraction. You have to. You cannot multiply your whole numbers and then multiply your fractions. It will not work out, okay? So let's, just like we were working on Monday, we have to change these into improper fractions. So we're gonna do 10 times 1 plus 3. What would that give me? 13 over 10, good. So you keep that same denominator. So again, 10 times 1 plus 3 is 13 over 10. And then this next one, we're gonna do 3 times 6, which is, so 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 would give me 20 over 3. So again, our first step, if we have a mixed number, is changing it to an improper fraction. You have to do that. Now you can see that we kind of have some big numbers. 13 times 20 would give us a pretty big number. So this would be a great one to do that cross-reducing. We cannot do anything with the 13 and the 3. However, the 10 and the 20 can both be divided by 10. 10 divided by 10 is
1,
and 20 divided by 10 is,
2.
that's gonna make this so much easier for us. Okay, so let's multiply straight across. 13 times 2, 13 and 13, 26. On the bottom, 1 times 3, 3. Would I be finished here? No. This is a what type of fraction? Improper. So just like we practiced already, turning improper fractions into mixed numbers, we need to think to ourselves, how many times will 3 go into 26? 8 times. 8 times 3 is what? 24. So I'd have how many left over? 2. Now some of you can do that division in your head, and that's fine. But if you can't, you can always write it out. So we end up with 8 2/3. And that is your final answer. So time consuming, but doable, okay? You know how to do all the parts, it's just putting it all together. Any questions on this one? All right, let's do another one of these. I'm gonna have you try this one on your own, okay? How about 2 1/2 times 1 3/5? 2 1/2 times 1 3/5. Go ahead and try that on your own. If you get stuck, I'm gonna start working it out up here. So if you get stuck, you can look up here. All right, so double check that you have changed your mixed numbers to improper fractions correctly. 2 1/2 should be 5 over 2. 1 3/5 should be 8 over 5. I did lots of cross reducing. My 5s can be divided by 5, so they just became 1s. And my 2 and my 8 can be divided by 2, so it became a 1 and a 4. And then when I multiplied straight across, I got 4 over 1, which is 4. If you didn't cross reduce, you would have ended up with 40 over 10, which is also 4. All right, any questions on that one? All right, so we are gonna do a timeout and take a restroom break. If you have a calculator in your locker that you wanna stop and get on the restroom break, you may. And then when we come back, we'll start talking about dividing, okay?
Alright, line up if you gotta go. If you're staying,